Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC show. Coming up, we're going to talk about the best use of your points. Hey, everybody, coming to you from the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida. I am your host, Pete Werner, joined in the studio this week by my good friends, real estate agent Sean Falk.
Hi.
I don't know why. I think I'm going to start introducing him on the street.
Yeah.
As a real estate agent Sean Falk.
Yeah.
Our producer, Mr. Corey Fiascanaro.
Welcome home.
Joining us via Skype, Mr. Derek DeBoer from DVC Resale Market.
Thanks for having me.
And our senior editor on DVCFan.com, Mr. Paul Krieger.
Hey, everyone. Happy Monday.
I was very, very close. Very, very close to mispronouncing your name there, Paul, just to piss you off. Get it. Welcome, folks. Hope your week is off to a good start. Just a reminder, our show is brought to you by the World of DVC, which consists of DVC Resale Market, if you're in the market for a DVC resale, hence the name, DVCRentalStore.com. I'll let you guess what that does. And Monerafinancial.com, which is a great way if you're looking to finance your DVC resale purchase. And links to all of those websites down below in the description. While you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for a notification. And it wouldn't break your arm to hit the like button and help us out with YouTube. All right? I'm done guilting you now. Until later. I'll find a reason to guilt you. But this week, we're going to talk about best use of points. Question comes up all the time. So we thought we would put it out on our DVC Fan Facebook group, which is facebook.com/DVCFan, and ask the folks there some of their suggestions for the best use of DVC points. And Sean has been culling through the responses, and I'm going to throw it over to him to start talking about some of the things that they have been sharing.
Yeah. I used my own as an example for the group. Mine was about Aulani. Aulani's where I own, and that's where I tend to travel in general outside of Disney, I guess. And so I just, as of this airing, I would have just recently come back from Aulani, and I stayed in a standard one bedroom, and the points for the week, it was 238 points. If originally, when I first booked the reservation, the only thing available was Ocean View, and that was 322 points, I believe. I know the point difference was 92 points. I can't add what the difference would be. So for me, I've stayed at Aulani a couple times now. I've done different views, and I like the standard view room. I think it's worth saving the points to get to do that. You have a really great view for the most part of either the mountains in the back or the golf course across the street. And it's a very pretty and very scenic view. And so for me, I only have 170 points per year. So 92 points is more than half a year worth of my stuff. So I'm very limited. If I had to use everything, it would take me over 2 years worth of points to do an ocean view room, whereas 1.5 years could get me a standard view, and it's still great. If you've never been, you might be like, is it worth, should I use the points to upgrade or not? And for me, I don't think you need to necessarily, if you're limited. So that was the general synopsis of the game here. And people sent in a lot of suggestions for where they used, and it kind of was centralized on Animal Kingdom Lodge, Boardwalk Villas, and Vero Beach were the main three that tended to come up. So a lot of you at home said that the standard views at the Boardwalk, you really, really liked those, especially if you can get on the 5th floor. That seemed to come up as a trend for people, as well as getting those standard views at Jumbo House, because they don't look at the parking lot at all. There are no parking lot views of those units. So that's a really good way to use your points, because you can stay very inexpensively and then still not have to look at the parking lot. And finally, a lot of people mentioned Vero Beach as a good option for pre-cruise stays. So a lot of people do, which I had never actually thought to do that before. A lot of people we get from the travel agency side, they're coming in a couple days early. They stay at Walt Disney World, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to use some points and go there." But with cruise line, you still have to pay. It's not a free shuttle service like Magical Express is, so you do still have to pay anyway. And so it may make sense for some people to rent a car, drive down to Vero Beach, stay a few days, and then do your cruise, or vice versa, and do that instead of doing a Walt Disney World trip.
I never would have thought about Vero Beach as pre-cruise, but it's about an hour and a half, I think, from Vero Beach to Port Canaveral. So it's something you do only if you're renting a car.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're not, there's no shuttle that's going to take you to the port. But I think just because I'm dying to get back on a cruise right now,
right?
I would stay, well, pretty much anywhere when I was going on a cruise. But I could see that being a really cool pre-cruise stop. Yeah, that's I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. And a lot of people also mentioned Bay Lake Tower, getting the lake view rather than getting the theme park view, just because it is a big price difference between them. Sometimes, depending on the season, it can be a bigger price jump. And for a lot of people, they were saying they enjoy the lake view better. They love getting to see the view from there. And for a lot of people, they were saying they've done lake view for years, and they always get a lake/theme park view anyway. So they end up getting to see both regardless there.
Yeah, certain rooms at Bay Lake will give you that. Let's throw it over to Paul. Paul, what are some of your best ideas for best use of points?
So the most immediate one that comes to mind is sort of been where Amy and I have sort of loved staying the most recently, which is a 1-bedroom villa at Old Key West Resort. It absolutely is just a gorgeous getaway. You can it separates things from the park a little bit. Not that you don't get the Disney vibe, but if you do want your rest days to just sort of be a relaxing rest day, you can just go there and veg out and not have to worry about anything. And I just pulled up on my screen real quick. So one week when we were there, it was the second or third week of December, 174 points for a week. As compared to right now, a 1-bedroom villa at Riviera, that same week was 247. So you're saving a huge amount of points by booking at that resort. And I just think it's definitely worth it. Availability seems pretty reasonable for Old Key West. The only other one that I wanted to throw out there is Hilton Head in general. If you want a vacation and you want a vacation cheap, you can do a very cheap vacation at Hilton Head. I think points per night start as low as 6 or 7 points per night during some seasons. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can have an amazing beach vacation at Hilton Head for little to nothing.
I could not possibly agree with you more about Old Key West. I think Old Key West, I think people love Old Key West. I'm not saying that they don't. I don't think it gets the level of love that it deserves, especially after the last rehab on those rooms. Those units are absolutely gorgeous. And they are huge. The 1-bedroom at Old Key West is massive. And, especially if you got a unit on the golf course and you sit out in that your patio and you got, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you're right. The points are much, much more reasonable at Old Key West as compared to something like Riviera. Derek, let's go over to you. What do you think
I'll tell you, just when I think I know exactly what I'm going to talk about, then everybody makes a better point than the person before. So now I'm kind of all over the place. So, which I love conversations like this because I've been a member since 1999, and it just kind of brought me up. I know my whole point was I'm going to talk about Vero Beach, right? Because I love Vero Beach, but not maybe for the exact reasons that other people might be talking about Vero. Is I love, in case you've never stayed at Vero, you've got kind of two choices for your rooms, right? In addition to the regular where the villas are, right? The studios, the 1, the 2, the 3-bedroom villas. There's also main rooms, which are called in rooms, which are in that main building right there at Vero Beach. Now, I've been a member, like I said, for a long time. We live 20 minutes away from Disney, so we're not going to the park. So we're not staying at a Disney resort, say on property for a week because we live so close. So we love going to Vero, and we discovered years ago the value of going to Vero during the week, the month of December. Meaning we just got back about 2 weeks ago where we spent 3 nights in an in-room at Vero Beach, right? Everything's decorated for the holidays. If you've been there, it's got that amazing Christmas tree in the lobby, the great smell that is Vero Beach. But those rooms each night in the in-room were 10 points a night, 10 points a night. And we had met somebody that were telling us that they paid cash for those rooms in that month of December. And their cash rate was over $500 a night plus tax.
Wow.
As a member, I looked and went, man, we just paid 10 points per night. And these in-rooms, keep in mind, also have a little kitchenette, right? So it's not just a regular hotel room. It's still got the microwave. It's still got a little refrigerator. So I think those in-rooms at Vero during certain times of the year, again, we got out right before Christmas Eve because then it went from 10 points to, I think, 25 points a night. So we hauled out of there on Christmas Eve morning, but 10 points a night, pretty amazing. If you haven't been, we love it.
Well, see, I'm just... Sean and I were joking before we started recording. I don't think like this. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I want to stay in that room. Oh, I'll just buy another contract.
Yeah.
So this is because I just don't think like that. I want, I'm bad with that. So this is like, I'm listening to you guys and I'm like, oh, wow, there really is something wrong with me. Now let's go. Let's talk to
170 points. I only have 170 points, so I was like, I know exactly what Sean's talking about. You got to stretch those things out the best you possibly can when you've only got 170. So I'm with you, Sean.
Now, we're recording this in January, and we've all watched Christmas specials in December. So I'm sure you're all familiar with Heat Miser and Snow Miser from The Year Without a Santa Claus. Well, meet Point Miser.
Okay, so I am very much
and yes, I'm sorry, I want somebody to creatively come up with a Point Miser song and animation with Fiasco's head.
Here, I'll give you a little thing to work with. Okay, so take that, roll with it. But I am a big person who looks for the deals. If I don't get the best deal and I realize it after the fact, usually I lose a little bit of sleep at night. So I like the fact that Hilton Head was brought up because I have found rooms at Hilton Head for as low as 6 points a night, which is insane. Haven't been there, but staying here at Walt Disney World, I'm always trying to get the most bang for my buck out of my little contract. The most success I've had there, not even in the 11-month window, is Animal Kingdom Lodge in Saratoga Springs. So the value rooms at Animal Kingdom Lodge are going to just like kick it out of the park as far as staying at a DVC resort for the lowest point value possible. But those are going to be super, super hard to get. You're probably not going to find those unless you actually have your contract there. And then you can book way out. But even the non-value rooms at Animal Kingdom Lodge, just the regular studios, Standard View, not Savannah View, I've gotten great deals there. I just put a family up there Christmas Day for 18 points. I've gotten the room for myself at other times of the year for about 14 points. Then Saratoga Springs also, the availability there is very fluent. You can almost always get a room there. And not even just studios, but the 1-bedrooms at Saratoga as well. I've stayed there a few times, always getting great deals on the 1-bedrooms. I stayed there a few months back for 21 points for a 1-bedroom, which is really, really good for a 1-bedroom. Studios, again, like 14 points is fairly typical for deals that I've found. But keep in mind, I am a local with a car. And when I stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge in Saratoga, which is the two that I've done the most of since I bought DVC, you don't have that super close proximity to the parks as you would at other places like Bay Lake Tower, Boardwalk. But that doesn't really bother me too much because, again, I can just jump in my car and go wherever I want to go. But for a family coming down here on vacation, definitely something to consider. Might be worth paying like 2 points extra for a night for like the studio at the Boardwalk versus Animal Kingdom Lodge to have that proximity to, two parks right there, Hollywood and Epcot. So, yeah.
Fiasco, just in case you were looking to reminisce the good old days, I pulled it up for you. 8 points a night starting at All-Star Sports.
Oh, perfect. Great deal. And another thing that I found out, because this was a misconception that I had going into buying DVC, was, again, I am a big deal finder. And if they allowed me to get the best deal possible using my points to stay at the All-Stars, I probably would. But when you actually do the math and break it down, what are my points worth if I stay at All-Star Music? What if I stay at French Quarter? What if I stay at Coronado Springs? It's always a bust. Like, it's always like my points did not come. Like, you're talking about your points being worth like $16 a point at one of the DVC resorts versus them being like, oh, my points just got valued at $5 a point because I transferred them to make them work at All-Stars. It's just never worth it. Yeah.
I joke about that, but then I remember that our viewers sometimes take that seriously. So don't use your points at All-Star Sports.
No.
If you want to do anything, rent your points
and pay cash.
And then take that money and book it at All-Stars.
Yes. You never, ever, ever want to do the exchanges through DVC with your points. That is never a good use of your points. When you take a look at what you can get when you rent them out and then compare what those points end up being worth if you go through an exchange with DVC. Well, and you can only do the exchange with DVC with direct points. You can't do them with resale points, but you never, ever, ever want to do an exchange, not for other hotel rooms, not for Adventures by Disney, not for a cruise line. You never, ever want to do that. Direct through DVC. You do not want to do that. But I'm not kidding. I want to see someone come up with something creative for Fiasco, the Italian point miser.
I'll give them another animation to use.
That's okay. That's okay. They're going to be able to find it.
I'm going to give them one more. All right. That should be enough.
I'm sure. I'm sure the audience is now thrilled. But yeah, no, he really is. He's very miserly with his points. But he gets a lot out of them.
Get good value, yeah.
And me on the other hand, I'm like, I want to stay where I want to stay. And if I don't have enough points to do that, then I either need to rent some or buy another contract. But like I said, like listening to everybody and then looking through some of what was suggested in our Facebook group was kind of eye-opening for me. Like, okay, yeah, there is something wrong with you.
And I do like that a lot of people on the Facebook group brought up Boardwalk because, Boardwalk their point charts are amazing. And, some of us might not care as much as others, but when this resort gets redone or whatever happens to it in 2042, you just know in the back of your head that those point charts are going to go up exponentially. I think we've seen the first phase of that with what they've done with Riviera, so we sort of know what to expect going into the future there. But right now, with how Boardwalk is set up, those standard rooms or those garden pool views, you can get those dirt cheap, and you're right there. Epcot, Hollywood Studios, can't be beat.
No, I agree. I love Boardwalk. I love Beach Club, but I don't think Beach Club's a deal in comparison to what you can find at Boardwalk, what you can find at Old Key West. But all right, anything else? Anything else you want to bring up?
I don't think so. I mean, that was the main ones. I mean, even with Hilton Head, I didn't know any things with the room types. Like Pete and I were actually going to go last year in January, and that was going to be, it was 3 nights, and that was 18 points for 3 nights, which is crazy. But it's also Hilton Head in January. Like, you can't use the ocean. You can't, it's too cold to do anything. And everything's kind of shut down for the season, or a lot of stuff is shut down as far as like tourism goes. So there's not a ton to do at that time. But if you just want to go and you're like, hey, I want like a vacation away, it's still, it's still saving you money from having to pay cash by comparison.
Yeah.
And that's a great point, Sean, too, because I can share with you that it was years ago, being a guide for Disney Vacation Club for a very long time. One of my favorite stories was just that. It was a member who came in and shared with me a story about how he used points, where he got a grand villa at Hilton Head in January for the Super Bowl, right? So he got a grand villa in January for the Super Bowl, a couple of nights. The point charts are ridiculously low, just like you said, for January. But he said we had the best time. He had 10 of his friends. They all drove to Hilton Head. They had that upstairs, that huge grand villa. They filled up the jacuzzi tub with ice and put beer in it and had the TV on in every single room in the house. And he said it was just a fun way to use the points. So you just got to go to Hilton Head in January.
Yeah, I guess that's one. That's one. Not something I'm ever going to do with it.
I would do that. Like that would definitely be something I would do. He said it and I was like, oh, that could work. Yeah, I could do that. So like, yeah.
All right, folks, that is going to do it for our show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next Monday with another edition of the DVC show. Have a great week, folks.